October's here and the veil is thin again. The dead get loud, the living pretend not to hear, but every October the shadows start whispering stories we try to forget. Stories that aren't just horror fiction, but history. This season, I'm peeling back the layers on some of the darkest figures to ever walk under the same stars as us. Because yes, even monsters have charts, and understanding how their energy twisted can teach us how not to repeat it. Tonight we're starting with a name that even the devil might side-eye, Ilse Koch, the Witch of Buchenwald. She wasn't a myth, though the world turned her into one, and what her chart reveals is how power, ego, and denial can turn sacred archetypes into instruments of horror. Ilse Koch was born in 1906 in Dresden, Germany. She married Karl Otto Koch, who would become the commandant of the Buchenwald and Majdanek concentration camps during World War II. She lived in luxury inside a death camp. Witnesses testified that she rode through the prison yard on horseback, whip in hand, ordering men beaten for simply glancing at her. Some said she wore silk blouses and high boots to provoke prisoners. If anyone dared to look, they were punished. Others swore she had a riding hall built inside the camp, forcing starving prisoners to build it until their bodies gave out. She was tried after the war for crimes against humanity, convicted, freed, retried, and sentenced again. And through it all, her name became legend, the Witch of Buchenwald. There were darker rumors that she selected prisoners with tattoos so their skin could be turned into keepsakes, lampshades, gloves, even book covers. That part, the courts never proved it, but it didn't matter. The myth stuck. One trial transcript described all prisoners with tattooing on them were to report to the dispensary. The ones with the most artistic specimens were killed by injection. The corpses were then turned over to the pathological department, where the desired pieces of tattooed skin were detached from the bodies. That's the kind of image that haunts collective memory, whether it was her order or her legend. And that's where astrology meets psychology, in the gap between what's proven and what's projected. Ilse's birth time was never recorded, so we work with her solar chart, her sun placed on the ascendant for noon that day. That gives us archetypal truth without pretending we know the angles. Her sun sat at 28 degrees of Virgo, the tail end of the sign, in the Taurus decan and Leo duad. Translation: Virgo precision, Taurus indulgence, and Leo pride all sharing one body. In the light, that's craftsmanship and dignity. In the dark, it's control disguised as care and perfection turn performance. Let's look at the wiring around that sun. Mercury conjunct sun, the mind and ego fused. I'm right because I think it. Mars in Virgo, action as critique. The need to correct becomes the urge to control. Venus and Moon in Scorpio, emotions and desire, bound in secrecy and taboo. Power eroticized. Jupiter and Neptune in Cancer, big emotions around family, homeland, belonging. When twisted, it turns into sentimental cruelty justified as duty. Saturn retrograde in Pisces, lessons in compassion denied. Boundaries blurred until morality disappears. If astrology could speak in plain language, her chart would whisper she could have been a healer. Instead, she lived like a warden. Now let's go deeper, because aspects tell the full story. Sun conjunct Mercury gave her tunnel vision, great for precision, lethal when aimed at people. Moon quincunx Pluto made her feelings clash with power. Emotion became domination. Venus trine Neptune, the artist's dream, or the liar's spell. That's the aesthetic fantasy that birthed the lampshade myth. Black Moon Lilith, square Mars, the rebellious feminine colliding with violence. Lilith, square Saturn, rejecting limits until rejection becomes cruelty. She became the witch the world needed to project its horror onto. Uranus, trine, Mars, plus Jupiter sextile Mars, that I can because I can energy. The bully's adrenaline. Her chart didn't create a monster, it created a choice, and time after time, she chose shadow. Astrologically, that Virgo, Taurus, Leo signature of her sun explains everything. Virgo's order became a weapon, Taurus's appetite became greed, Leo's spotlight became spectacle, and the myth, whether or not any lampshade ever existed, the image ruled the world's memory. That's Neptune, that's Pluto, that's collective obsession. Her story became an eternal cautionary tale of what happens when shadow runs the show. Every chart is a classroom, even this one, especially this one. So before you click away, I want you to do a little soul homework. Audit your own placements. Audit your Virgo energy. Where do your standards hide cruelty? Refine them into service. Audit your Scorpio energy. Where does your intensity edge toward humiliation? Transmute it into healing. Audit your Pisces energy. Where are you spiritualizing denial? Name it. Set the boundary. Keep your heart open. Audit your Leo energy. Where do you crave being seen more than being true? Choose truth. Because the same heavens that birthed Ilse Koch also birthed healers, artists, and world changers. The scariest monsters don't live under our beds. They live in our unworked shadows.